Yes, hello everyone, Fáilte Rashkady, Cúilín Media. Welcome back to another show here on Cúilín Media. It is episode 19. It is that time of the week. It is Thursday evening at 8 p.m. It's another weekend preview show where we also run back through the news that took place across the GA world across the last 4 days since our last episode on Sunday at 8 p.m. If you are new to the show, please do like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And then on top of that, get involved in the live chat. Let us know what you are looking forward to, what particular GA news caught your eye over the last week, and what games you are looking forward to this weekend. Aaron, unfortunately, can't be with us for this weekend, but I am delighted to be joined by Matthew Hurley and by Liam White for this episode. Matthew, I'll come to you first. Busy few days since the Sunday. Is there anything news-wise in the GA that you'd like to kick us off with to catch us up?
You say, where do I begin, James? To be fair, there's been a lot between Provincial Alliance Football League fixtures, even though obviously Davy Byrne came out with that interview and he doesn't want Alliance as a sponsor. Obviously, that's his own opinion. Then obviously you have the All-Stars. To be fair, I think this is the less, maybe, I suppose, the less argument about an All-Star team in the last decade anyway. I don't think much people have complained. Maybe some Tipperary fans are saying they should have more than 7, but look, that's what you get with confidence from winning the All-Ireland, I suppose. But look, yeah, to be fair, it has been busy this week, and obviously with the Munster Senior Football Championship draw being the seeding being postponed, which I'm not particularly pleased about, I'll put it that way. But look, it is what it is. And yeah, there's been a good bit now this week with all the clubs, there's action that has gone on over the last weeks or so and things like that. We have a few intercounty stories to go through, particularly the All-Stars. I'm sure we'll talk more on Sunday's show about the football team that will be announced tomorrow night, and plus the players of the year and things like that, even though I think we have a general idea who will be the player of the year in the football anyway. In hurling, we don't know as of yet, but I think I have one in mind for that I think all of us would probably agree on. So it should be interesting.
It should be John McGrath, if that's where you're going with it. I mean, if you're talking about clutch, I mean, that guy came up trumps in every game that was important. Peter there saying, lads, I don't know if you caught that comment, having a good chat there with Dublin is great, 7-7-1-7. And they are leading the charge, guys. As I said, if anybody has any comments about the weekend or about the last few days of GAA news, get involved in the discussion there. He says, lads, you should be on the All-Star selection committee. I appreciate that, Peter. There's no doubt about it. I think they did a very good job with the selection of the All-Stars. And let's just start right there, Liam. I'll come to you for this one next. I think they did a good job. I think the next man up, Matthew, I've seen that you posted it for Cúilín. I think the next man up, and I agree with you're saying about notable absences, I think the next man up is Jason Ford. I think he was very, very good all year. And I think he could have an argument to be in. I think there's some other names here, like A2 saying Tim O'Mahony done dirty. I think Tim O'Mahony was one half away from being nailed on for an All-Star. And then obviously the All-Ireland final just went the way that it did. But Darren McCarthy, another interesting shout. Adam English. Liam, I know you've been kind of pushing how good Adam English is all year. Were you surprised that he wasn't there?
I suppose, look, you're always going to have the arguments for who should be in there and who shouldn't be in there, and everyone's going to make their case. I suppose with Limerick going out in the quarterfinals and not winning the Munster Championship, it's maybe not much of a surprise. Now, I know people would say, well, then why is Cathal Mannion in there? Because he did the exact same thing with Galway, and probably to a lesser extent, because Galway would have been a lot worse this year than Limerick, in my opinion. But Cathal Mannion was in every single game. He was absolutely outstanding. I wouldn't sit here and say Adam English was outstanding in every single game he played for Limerick this year. I thought he was excellent this year.
The only thing by that logic is how has Lee Chin not got an All-Star by that metric?
I think Lee Chin, I think somebody put a good comment there saying, like, you know, when your team goes down, you go down with them, you know. And I think it is unfortunate for Lee Chin because, like, look, he's by far Wexford's best hurler. Like, if he wasn't there with Wexford at the moment, I'm not even lying, they could go down to the Joe McDonagh. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's that important to them, and he's that physical presence, and he's that scoring threat that he could have a bad, I saw it against Offaly this year, he could have a bad, in my opinion, a poor or a quiet 69, 70 minutes, and then he comes up with a goal. Do you know what I mean? Out of nowhere. He's just that type of clutch player. So I think for him, if there was to be someone that was extremely unlucky to miss out on one to that kind of degree, I think he's probably a fair shout. In terms of Darren McCarthy, look, when you get 2 red cards in a 1 year, in a way, is it probably a system that should maybe go? Maybe, I don't know, because I know back years ago, if you got a red card, you just didn't get an all-star. But I think when you get 2 in the 1 year, you're asking for a lot. Do you know what I mean?
I agree that he shouldn't have got one, but yeah, he had such an amazing finish that I can see where people are pushing from.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's the other side, that he had the All-Ireland final that he did. And look, he got a goal against Kilkenny in the All-Ireland semi-final. So won an under-20 All-Ireland with Tipperary as well. So there's always going to be those arguments. In terms of English, look, I think English is a superb player, and I'm not going to change my mind on that. But I can see why he didn't. I can still see why he didn't get one. I don't think his performances, like Cathal Mannion, I feel like Cathal Mannion just carried Galway, whereas I don't think Adam English carried Limerick. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's maybe the big difference in that perspective. I'm actually happy to see Cian O'Sullivan get one. I think Sean Curry could have been one that was maybe a bit unfortunate from a Dublin perspective, maybe as well. I thought he had a very, very good year, took over free duties. I remember even the game against Wexford that he played in the championship where he just absolutely exploded, came into life. Against Kilkenny, got the 2 clutch frees, 21-yard frees into the back of the net, beating Owen Murphy, which is never a simple thing to do. I thought he was absolutely sensational against Limerick, and obviously after what he's just done for the Fianna as well, I think he was maybe unfortunate from a Dublin perspective, but Cian O'Sullivan was just on fire this year, so I think that was the right choice. And yet, look, I do kind of agree. I think Tim O'Mahony, had the All-Ireland final gone the other way, he probably would have gotten one. So he's probably one that probably should feel a bit hard done by. Look, Darv, I think Shane Barrett to a degree as well. I know he got the red card against Clare at the start of the year, but I thought he was Cork's best player in the first half in the All-Ireland final, to be honest with you. And had Cork gone on to win the All-Ireland, I think he would have probably been man the match in the end. He had 1-3 by half time. But yeah, no, I think other than that, I think they've actually done really well this year. It's not like other years where you'd have a few, what is this? What the hell are you doing? This is wrong. This is stupid. I think this year they've got it marginally pretty right, to be honest with you. I think Mossy Keown deserved one. I thought he was outstanding for Kilkenny. If Kilkenny had gotten over the line against Tipperary, he would have been the big reason. He was unbelievable in that semi-final and in the Leinster final as well. Hugh Lawler, I thought he was out. I think he's one of the best fullback, potentially arguably the best fullback in the country. Owen Connolly getting one, of course. Jesus, he's probably going to be the highest scoring fullback of all time by the end of his career. Sure, he could be up there right now at the age that he is. You've Ronan Maher, obviously, was a leader this year, a warrior for Tipperary, a proud son of Turles Sarsfields. Rhys Shelley, I love seeing him recently saying that he's not going to change his antics as a goalkeeper. He's just going to be that. He's like Ben White in a way for Arsenal. He loves being the enemy. He loves being annoying and everything like that. But you need that type of character in games like this. But yeah, no, I think overall I think it's a good choice. I think it's right to have Brian Hayes in there as well. I thought he had a very good year for Cork, and I still think he's one of the most dangerous and lethal corner forwards in the country. So yeah, I think overall I think it's a really good choice, to be honest.
Yeah, I would agree. And interestingly as well, 10 first-time All-Stars included in the side. And I'm going to give a big shout out here to Jer, who is a regular guest on my pod, and then also is Jer threw in some interesting facts about the All-Stars. One of them is that it's the first time the 3 counties who played in the Leinster Championship have gotten All-Stars since 1998. So I mean that's a long stat. But then
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Back when Offaly were winning all Irelands and none of us were alive. So interesting that it goes back that far. Matthew, there's a direct question from Peter saying, Matthew, was Mossy Keown the highest scoring from play?
Overall across league and championship he was, yeah.
And then Peter also says, would have thought TJ might have shaded in. I thought it was a quiet enough year for TJ. Like, obviously his standards are still amazing, but it didn't stick out to me that he should be getting an All-Star. I wasn't surprised that he didn't. But I thought overall it's a pretty good team. I'm happy with how the team looks. I think with an All-Star team, you're always going to get 1 or 2 players that are hard done by to not get an All-Star. But lads, opinion-based time. With all the talk about the All-Star team, inevitably with All-Star teams, no matter who you pick, there are going to be players that, people feel like were hard done by. I'm pretty happy with the hurling team. I think they picked a fairly good team. I think they nailed it. Who do you think was the most hard done by in terms of All-Stars that you ever saw? A year where someone didn't get an All-Star that you still can't believe they didn't. Does any spring to mind?
Is it Bo Coach, Seamus?
Both codes.
Yeah,
For me, ever, Donegal O'Connor.
2010, is it?
Yeah. Or any year, to be honest with you. He was the greatest, one of the best footballers I've ever seen playing a Cork jersey. And the way he dragged Cork back into that game against Down, and the way he got us back into the game against Dublin in the semi-final, he came up with crucial moments against Roscommon, obviously in the quarter-final as well. If you're talking about big game, clutch players for an All-Ireland winning team, that was him. I Donegal O'Connor. And the fact he never got an All-Star in his career. People talk about players like Hoggy and all them that had never got All-Irelands. Donegal got an All-Ireland, but he didn't get an All-Star, which is absolutely incredible when you think about it that way. But yeah, I think, honestly, I'd go with him as a player that really felt hard done by, I think, not to get an All-Star in any year, particularly 2010, in my opinion.
That's a really, really good shout. A2 saying this uncle's alive, talking about 1998, Brian Wheelahan, some hurler, and he says the Dooley brothers, John Troy. He says, thanks for reminding me of that semi-final. Peter says, wow, who took O'Connor's spot in 2010? Now, this is my weird GA knowledge. I know who that full forward line was. It was Daniel Goulding, Bernard Brogan, and Benny Coulter. That was the full forward line of the 2010 All-Star team. I can name you the full team if you want. Peter says, that is mad. He was robbed. My personal one, and it's not as impactful. Mine isn't as impactful because of the fact that he got plenty of All-Stars and plenty of awards, but I remember being gobsmacked that Stephen Cluxton did not get the All-Star in 2017 as the goalkeeper, and it went to David Clark. I remember being stunned. David Clark had a great year that year, but you look at the semi-final against Tyrone in 2017 when Stephen Cluxton nailed that kick out to Niall Scully over the Tyrone press and forced Tyrone to immediately abandon their defensive press on Stephen Cluxton, fall into the defensive system, and then Dublin picked them apart. Stephen Cluxton single-handedly beat their press that day. He was unbelievable in 2017. And just how he wasn't named the All-Star goalkeeper. Because going up to 2019, he'd only been named an All-Star twice. 2011 and 2013. And all up until that point, he was the best goalkeeper in the country. So I remember thinking up until 2019, I was thinking this fella's being consistently robbed. He's consistently not being named the best keeper when he is the best keeper. And then finally in 2019, he got another one. But yeah, I think he probably should have got more, which is absolutely crazy because the legacy that he has as the best goalkeeper of all time, I think should be reflected in the amount of All-Stars that you have. Liam, do you have any?
I don't know. I feel like the ones that the lads mentioned there with some of the Offaly players probably do stand out just because of how influential they were a couple of years ago. The Stephen Cluxton one that you mentioned there was actually one I was thinking about as well. I thought he was absolutely unbelievable in 2017 for Dublin. Like, he's really modernized the role as a goalkeeper. And like you mentioned there, you're picking out the kickouts that you mentioned there, and even just his influence in the net. You never really felt like you were ever going to score on him, really, unless, I mean, you just ran about 5 yards in front of him like Andy Moran did in the All-Ireland final, in which you're just not going to save that. But just even with his clutch kickouts or his clutch scores from frees as well, and his overall leadership roles, I suppose to a degree, I feel like Lee Chin, I wouldn't say like he's always like, say, deserved one over the last couple of years, but he is, in a way, it's unfortunate, not unfortunate, because look, you're going to play for the county you're from, whatever, and he's proud to play for Wexford. But like, he would start for every team in the country, if we're being honest. And like, if he was in any other county, he'd have a bunch of them, in my opinion. And it's probably just because Wexford just haven't been as good as they were in, like, 17, 18, 19, in those days, that he's probably been unfortunate to have missed out on a couple, because he's been really clutch for Wexford. He's put in huge performances. Liam, which Offaly hurler has the most odds? I feel like it could be someone like Johnny Pilkington. I could be wrong. I have a weird feeling it could be him, or it could be one of the Dooley. No, not the Dooley brothers. I have a feeling it could be Johnny Pilkington.
Johnny Dooley, no?
It could be Johnny.
Whelan. I remember one year there was some fuckery going on that like Brian got hurler of the year and didn't get an All-Star because they had it by two different selection panels.
Yeah,
that's a record that will never be broken.
That was a very strange one, to be honest with you.
Actually, that's your one. That's your one. That's the biggest one. Liam, as an Offaly man, take that away. Tell us about 98. Was it 98 that happened with Brian?
98, I just remember it being the year that we played Clare 3 times and we protested on the pitch because the referee blew up the whistle. And Babs Keating became public enemy number 1 in Offaly, probably more than what he was, probably more of an enemy in Offaly than what Oliver Cromwell was to the country, to be honest with you. Like he was not like whatsoever, just for calling the players sheep or something like that. It wasn't
Babs, yeah. No, he said what, donkeys don't win derbies or something, was it? Was that?
Yeah, it was like making the comment of like they're not like the traditional counties like Kilkenny, Tipperary, Cork or whatever. And look, we're not. Look, I suppose to that degree we're not, because we haven't won 25, 30 All-Irelands, but there was a lot of people in Offaly that were not happy with those comments. And then look, they went on to win the All-Ireland, and Johnny Pilkington famously saying we're not a bad old flock. So I think that was just the best. Yeah. That was the best thing.
I'm obviously misquoting. Who said donkeys don't win derbies? I don't know why. That's my anyway. Long day.
Yeah, Brian Wheelahan in the 98 final was absolutely dying. He was not well at all. He was fairly sick that day.
Yeah.
And they threw him up into the forward line. And look, as my father says to this day, if we didn't do that, we wouldn't win the All-Ireland. He absolutely tore the Kilkenny defence apart in that second half, and was so he nearly stamped his authority at that time, whether people still believe it or not, as probably the greatest hurler to ever play, or certainly the greatest hurler to play for Offaly. Do you know?
Yeah. Well, for the compilation, can you walk us through 98, Brian Wheelahan getting hurler of the year, and somehow not getting an All-Star? Just tell us about that for the package with myself and Matthew.
It just makes no sense. I don't know how you can win hurler of the year and not get. It's like winning the Ballon d'Or but not getting named in the FIFA Team of the Year or something like that. Do you know what I mean? It just makes absolutely zero sense. And I hope something like that never happens again, to be honest with you, because like you can't, like an All-Star, look, winning the hurler of the year is obviously nice, whatever, but I think having an All-Star, and especially if you get it with your teammates and the lad that you've hurled it all year, it's a reflection on your teammates as well, because they've helped you get it as well. And yeah, look, I could tell you something. It's not something that a lot of Burr people or a lot of Offaly people in general were too pleased with back in 98 before I was born anyways, and still talked about at times. Maybe I'd say if I asked Brian in the morning what do you think of it, he probably wouldn't say something that'd be too PG, but yeah, no, it was completely bonkers anyways. But yeah, I saw a comment there as well about Johnny Pilkington, cult hero. He's a cult hero, and by God, lovely fella. He's absolutely bonkers. I was working with him this year at the Offaly under-20s, and by God, he's a character. I could tell you that. But everyone in the county loves him, and everybody adores him. You know, and nobody has a bad word to say about him at all. He ironically coached my club actually 15 years ago, which is mad to think now. But yeah, no, I hope something like this never happens again. Where, like, could you imagine this year, John McGrath wins hurler of the year, or David Clifford wins footballer of the year, and they're not in the team, and they're not getting an All-Star?
Yeah, that would be nuts. It would be nuts. But how good Wheelahan was that year, I don't know how he didn't even get named an All-Star anyway. Kid Cudi comes in with a really, really, really good example. This is more footballer of the year territory, but Gooch never getting footballer of the year always shocks me. That to me is crazy. When you look at some of the players that have, and obviously like if they got footballer of the year, obviously they were sensational players. You have to be to get the footballer of the year award. But the fact that Gooch never got it is mind-blowing when you consider how good he was for so long. And I think Gooch was like almost a victim of his own success, where because he was consistently so good that nobody ever really noticed, like, my God, he's much, much better this year. Like, I mean, I think a peak example of it is like Michael Darragh-Macaulay in 2012 versus Michael Darragh-Macaulay in 2013 was like a different human being. And he like absolutely took the championship by storm. So he was like the new arrival, put him right in a good position to get that Footballer of the Year award. And he was a worthy recipient of that Footballer of the Year award. But I remember that year, and it's funny that ties in, but I remember watching that semi-final in 2013 and the way that Gooch just orchestrated the play from centre forward. And I was just like, this guy's just a genius. Like, his brain is just a million miles ahead of everybody else. And yeah, Peter saying Johnny Pilkington is a cult hero. His one-liner should be framed. His Laker girl was class. And my favorite line from him is the what would it mean? Oh, you know, a lot of drinking. Gooch never winning it is outrageous. One of the best to ever do it. Daithí Regan picking more scraps than Paul Galvin and Philly McMahon locked in a room together. Babs Keating said that James before the Cork's Munster final in 1990. So that's the Donkeys Don't Win Derby statement. Peter saying Michael Bond, the Offaly manager, what a story. Yeah, that's very true. That was an incredible story. Incredible episode on Leicester Gale. Matthew, Gavin has teed up a question for you. Interested if you want to take it on. I know that you do have a strong opinion on it. Thoughts on Munster GAA not seeding their competition next year? So Gavin's come in with a question there. Obviously, the Munster Championship has changed their stance and it is not going to be seeded. Obviously, what's going on here?
Well, it is going to be seeded, Seamus, but it's seeded so that Clare and Kerry automatically go to the Munster semi-final rather than Cork and Kerry, because Cork are higher in the league than Clare. And we were thinking, okay, this is over now, not just for Cork, but for Liam's County, Offaly, for Kildare, for Down, for Westmeath, for those counties that actually do well in Division 3 and Division 2, and they don't get the rewards for it. But now it's changed the stance because Clare had a complaint. I think Limerick had a complaint as well, that they wanted this to be postponed a year, and ultimately they got their wish. This has now been postponed to 2027, so Clare and Limerick know exactly what they need to do in Division 3 next year. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again, Seamus, this isn't just for Cork. I do think a Munster final between Cork and Kerry would be the best in all facets, to be honest with you, because you looked at the semi-final last year, it was a classic between the two sides. You then look at the Munster final and Kerry walk all over Clare. And you look at the provincial finals across the country, Leinster, historic between Louth and Meath, Connacht, entertaining between Galway and Mayo, Ulster, probably the game of the year between Donegal and Armagh. I think Munster setting a profit in many ways by having a Kerry and Clare Munster final. It should be Kerry and Cork. It's as simple as that. And as well as that, in the league as well, because Clare got to the Munster final, they got into the All-Ireland series last year. And if they get another good draw, say at Tipperary or Waterford again next year, they'll be in the exact same position and they'll be into the All-Ireland despite how they get on in the league. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, you look at the counties that are actually doing well in the league, Offaly being promoted, winning Division 3, doing well, the Cormac, Egan, Jack Bryant, these players absolutely excelling. What's that for then? Like, they go up from Division 3, they were better than Clare, and then Clare just waltz into the All-Ireland because they get an easy side of the draw. They draw against Tipperary. Look at the draw. And I think it's wrong at so many levels. You look at the record for Clare in the football championship, and look, it's a simplistic stat, but it's so relevant. Out of the Munster finals and out of the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship group games, in the last 3 seasons, Clare have played 12 games. Do you want to know how many they lost? 12. That's your proof there. There is counties that are just not good enough for the Sam Maguire Cup. Clare are one of them. They have to go to the Tailteann Cup, rebuild, regroup. You're not good enough for the Sam Maguire Cup. And I feel like Munster's in that kind of predicament at this present moment in time. You look at Limerick, reaching the Tailteann Cup final. That's how you develop. That's how you gain confidence. Clare are getting batterings year in, year out. What's that doing for them? So I think it'd be best on all parties if they just go down to the Tailteann Cup, if this draw went ahead. But look, it's done now. The draw is going to happen at the end of November. It'll probably, knowing the luck now of this over the last few years, it'll be Clare on one side of the draw with Waterford, Tipperary, Limerick, Cork and Kerry on the other side of the draw. And it's just wrong. It's just wrong, to be honest with you. And look, I'm passionate enough about it. That's my rant over. But I just feel like Clare, look, they have to regroup, go down to the Tailteann Cup, redevelop. They're just not good enough for the Sam Maguire Cup. And that's okay. They're just not good enough. And that's the bottom line.
My main issue with it is, and you make great points there, but my main issue with it always was you have to look at the hurdles. And I never agreed that getting to a provincial final should have got you a place in the Sam Maguire. I never agreed with that from the get-go, because I always looked at it and said, there's 2 main examples that I will pick. And I think Clare were, under Colin Collins in the mid-2010s, Clare were a serious team. Like when they had Gary Brennan and when they had David Tubridy at the peak of his powers, they were a serious team. This kicked in just as those lads started to head out the door. So they were going into a period of transition anyway. And you look at when how Meath won the Tailteann Cup, and then when they came up to Sam now over the next couple of years, they've actually competed well and they got to the semi-final this year. You look at how Down competed in the group stages. They were really, really good, and Down actually beat Clare fairly handy. But you have to look at this and go, there's two main examples. Clare qualified for the Sam Maguire in one of the years by beating 2 Division 4 teams, compared to what Antrim would have had to go through, for example, in Ulster, beating the All-Ireland champions in the preliminary round. And then you have to go through, 3 more games to get there, or 2 more games to get there? Sorry, they were in the quarterfinal. But that's one of my main points. Then on top of that, one of the years that Sligo made it into the Sam Maguire, they made it because Leitrim lost to New York. So then Sligo beat New York and qualified for the Connacht final off the back of it after beating London. So they beat New York and London and qualified for Sam Maguire. How is that worthy of playing at the top table? In my opinion, if you want to, there's a simple fix for this, in my opinion. There's a simple fix. Win the province. If you win the province, in my opinion, you have earned a spot at the top table. You look at examples like Roscommon in 2010. Louth should have won it in 2010, and that would have been a perfectly reasonable jump up. You look at Fermanagh, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Fermanagh might have been in Division 3 in 2018 when they made it to the Ulster final after beating Monaghan. If they'd beaten Donegal in that Ulster final, should they have got into the All-Ireland? Absolutely. But if you just get to the provincial final after beating 2 Division 4 teams and then get a bit of a hiding in the provincial final, you don't deserve to be in the Sam Maguire Cup, regardless of what county you are. And especially when you look at Leinster and Ulster, 2 very even provinces now, especially Ulster. You look at what Antrim would have to go through to get to an Ulster final to qualify versus the routes that Sligo had to go through in 2023, beating New York and London, and Clare had to go through one of the years, I can't remember the exact one, but beating Tip and beating Waterford, I think it was, who were both in Division 4 at the time. That's not equal punishment they have to go through to get there. But if Clare had let's say the year that Clare really put it up to Kerry in the Munster final, if they'd beaten Kerry in that Munster final, absolutely, you've earned your place at the table. Even the year where Clare beat Cork, that game where Clare it shaded it, Clare had beaten a team that were ranked above them in the league. So to some extent, they'd proven they could compete with the teams that were going to be in that competition. When you beat teams that are going to be playing in the Tailteann, and then you lose heavily to a team that aren't, I don't see how that indicates it. Peter says, spot on, Seamus, win it equals earn it. And most of the comments in, Matthew, are completely agreeing with you, saying, I think with Leinster being more even now, it just makes the Munster Championship look a lot worse without a good final. A2 says, no, serious, it's absolutely idiotic, and it does so many counties dirty. And then he says, the Matthew rant when Cork draw Kerry in the semi-final is going to be generational. Liam, one of the counties that, in my opinion, was done a bit dirty this year was your very own Offaly. You have to say, getting promoted out of Division 3, winning Division 3, and to not get in.
I mean, we didn't win the Tailteann Cup in the end, so maybe it wasn't the worst thing in the world.
I know. But in terms of who had a better league?
Well, look, we had a better league than Clare. I know Clare beat us on the final day, but I think we had to avoid a 10-point defeat to them, and we were beating them at halftime. I think our lads just took the foot off the gas in that second half, to be honest with you. But look, there is that degree, yeah. We did win the league, and look, we were 10 points up against Meath in the quarterfinals, and we just had a disastrous second half and kind of collapsed them. And we met Kildare in the Tailteann Cup quarterfinals, and realistically, that could have been a Tailteann Cup final. It's just the way that the draw felt, and we had a kick in the last minute to potentially win it or draw it, and we could easily have got over the line that game. It just came down to millimeters between us and Kildare as well. But look, I do agree though. I think it's you do look at Leinster now, and Leinster, especially with Dublin getting bet last year, it is going to be a lot more even over the next couple of years because Meath are improving. You saw that winning the Tailteann Cup 2 years ago. They are improving. Down have improved massively. I'm really actually looking forward to them this year, especially their game against Monaghan in the summer. I thought was one of the best. They had their game against Galway as well, but for me, the game against Monaghan, just because for years the way Ulster football was seen, that was an absolutely, what was it, 227 to 126 or something like that. That was just such a mental game to watch.
The league kept changing hands as well.
Literally, like it was such an enjoyable game to watch. And like you mentioned, Limerick getting to the Taoiseach Cup final is going to really, really improve them now as a county. Kildare winning the Taoiseach Cup is going to improve them because they could easily have gotten to the Leinster final last year. They could easily have won the Leinster Championship last year. They lost out to Louth very narrowly. Who's to say they couldn't have beaten Meath in a Leinster final? Do you know what I mean? So it will improve teams. And I think we will improve next year as well. I think there's a lot of good footballers in Offaly, and obviously we've Mickey Hart staying on and Johnny Kelly staying on. I nearly said Declan. There's too many Kellys. Declan Kelly's the football manager. He's the manager. But Jesus, my brain's not working today. But yeah, like the two of them staying on, and like you mentioned there, the players that we do have coming through, we just got to make sure that we do have a good Division 2 campaign. Like, look, nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody is expecting us to be looking for promotion, especially when you have Derry in there and teams like Tyrone, etc. But just stay up in Division 2 and prove that you can compete with these teams as well, which is not going to be simple, but that's exactly what we need to do. And look, I don't think, has there been I know the draw for the Leinster Hurling Championship has been made. Has the draw for the Football Championship been made in Leinster yet? I don't think it has. I
actually don't know, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think it has.
The draws will be made at the end of November for all provinces.
Yeah, okay. But regardless of who we get,
like 7:00 in the morning on radio.
But like we've got to show that we can perform in the provincial championship as well. Like regardless of who we play, or no matter where it is, we got to perform ourselves. But I do agree. Look, Clare getting to the Sam Maguire Cup off the back of winning 2 games against 2 Division 4 sides is not exactly a great look. And like you mentioned there, I was even doing it in my head. Antrim would have had to beat to get, by your logic, say if you have to win the province to get into the All-Ireland Series, Antrim would have had to beat Armagh, Tyrone, and Donegal. Like, come on.
Yeah.
or if you don't beat one of them, okay, beat Monaghan. Like, come on, like, like the best of teams in the country won't be able to do that. Well, unless you're Kerry, who just bet everyone this year. But most of the best teams in the country can't do that. How are you expecting poor Antrim to do that? So, yeah, no, I do agree. I think there needs to be a better system in place.
Absolutely. I think just for me, simple fix: win your province, and that qualifies you for the Sam Maguire Cup, or else win the Taoiseach Cup or be in Division 2 or Division 1. In my opinion, those are the teams that should qualify for the Sam Maguire Cup, and Division 3 and 4 should be in Taoiseach unless they won the Taoiseach Cup the year before, like Westmeath had, or you win your province like Roscommon did in 2010. Do you want to guess what division Roscommon are in 2010, lads? Because they looked into this.
Division 4.
Division 4. Yeah, Division 4. So it can happen. It's very rare, but it can happen. And in the instances where you do have that situation, you can achieve incredible things. And that team, like, I know Gavin will never forget Downey Shine in that Connacht final in 2010, shooting the lights out. And that was one of the most incredible wins, because that Sligo team were damn good. And a lot of people forget that. Like, that Sligo team had Eamon O'Hara, people like Mark Brentney, David Kelly. Really, really good Sligo team. Anyway, lads, just before we move on, it is really, really important that we also express our deepest condolences to the family and friends and anybody affected by the tragic passing of Monaghan legend Eugene Nudie Hughes. Absolute icon of Monaghan GAA. Kid Cuddy puts it here really nice. He said, lads, maybe a word on Nudie Hughes. Monaghan lost a legend this week. Rest in peace. Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself. Or yesterday, you have Anonym Dealish, Monaghan's first ever All-Star. Absolutely incredible figure in Monaghan Gaelic games, Ulster Gaelic games. And the GAA has lost a real star this week. And it came out on the Monday just after the pod. And we obviously would have talked about it on Sunday's pod. But it's important that we cover it this week, lads. So yesterday, you have Anonym Dealish. Deepest condolences to any friends, family, Monaghan fans, GAA fans that are affected by this, or anyone who's affected by this tragic passing. Yesterday, grabbing on
100%, yeah. I'd say it's a sad passing for Monaghan GAA. Great stalwart for Monaghan, obviously, as you mentioned there, Seamus, first ever All-Star from the county of Monaghan. Absolute legend of the game. He inspired so many for Monaghan footballers down through the years to win Ulster titles and things like that. He was absolutely exceptional. A really, really good player for Monaghan, but just a great role model for kids as well, for kids growing up and being Monaghan potential Monaghan footballers as well. As you say correctly, may rest in peace, condolences to his family, friends, Monaghan GA circles, all around as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to send on my deepest condolences as well. An absolute legend of not just Monaghan, but Gaelic football in general. Unfortunately, he was diagnosed with cancer a couple of years ago. And look, cancer is not the easiest thing to deal with. And look, we all know someone in our lives who's had to deal with it in the past, and it's never a simple thing to battle through. But I think it was 2017 or 2018 he was contracted with it, and to have kept fighting for that long and kept battling on is a true credit to the man himself. Look, 67 is no age to go, unfortunately. And look, deepest condolences. A great Monaghan man, multiple-time Ulster Championship winner as well. You know, he was an absolute legend of the game, and he'll be sorely missed. So, and rest in peace to Nudie Hughes.
Yeah, and Peter here bringing this. Nudie did a great pod with Tommy Niblock and Oisin McConville. Yeah, I mean, he came across really well in that pod as well. Like, there's no question about it. I mean, he's just an absolute gentleman and one of the greats of Gaelic games. No question about it. Yesterday, on him. Rest in peace, Nudie Hughes. So we are going to move into the club championship fixtures that are taking place over this weekend, and we are going to start, Liam, with the one that you definitely will have your eyes on, the Leinster Senior Hurling Championship quarterfinals. Bio TG Cahar and Downlock Show, Kilcormac Cúilín going up against Ballyhale Shamrocks. What a game this is going to be. It very much feels like the potential old guard against the up-and-coming new team, because the Offaly champions led by the likes of Adam Screeney, whereas the Kilkenny champions led by the likes of TJ Reid. This one is going to be something else.
Yeah, it's a game that I'm very much looking forward to. It's a game that I've wanted to see played again ever since 2014 when we met them in that Leinster final, and went up against will be on KK Ballyhale, will be an El Clasico. Yeah, absolutely, Peter. Look, I still have bad memories of 2014 just because Offaly hurling was in a bad place at that time. We were getting batterings left, right, and centre on an inter-county level, and Kilkenny were All Ireland champions and had some of the greatest players who ever played a game. But yet, with our clubs, it's almost like it was even, to be honest with you. Like we should have beaten Ballyhale in 2014. They bet us after extra time. We missed a load of chances that day. We hurled really well for 60 minutes and just unfortunately lost in extra time. And that was like Nafina last year was obviously disappointing, but I could sit there and say, look, Nafina were the better side. Kula destroyed us in 2017, which is fair. But 2014 is one I just look back on thinking that's one that got away. And I've always just been thinking I would love to just get Ballyhale again and get them no matter what stage it is and just prove that we can beat them. And we've never beaten a Kilkenny side. We've only played Loughlin Gales and Ballyhale. We've only played a Kilkenny team twice. So it would be nice to knock out a Kilkenny team. And yeah, look, it has the makings of a great match. You have, like you mentioned there, you have Adam Screeney from us. You have Charlie Mitchell, Jack Screeney, Colin Spain, James Mahan, Conor Slevin in goals. You have a lot of great matchups there. Keelan Kiley. But then you look at Ballyhale, you've Richie Reid, TJ Reid, Adrian Mullen, Owen Cody, Niall Shorthall. So it's a real all-star type of game, and I think it's fitting that it's down in Nolan Park as well. I think it's right, to be honest, at this time of the year. A lot of our lads are used to playing in Nolan Park as well at this stage, so I don't feel like it's going to be too much of a worry for them. Our only Leinster title win was down in Nolan Park as well, so we have fond memories going down there as a club as well. I think it's going to be an absolutely cracking game. Was it that Aaron said the young versus new? I think he meant to say something different, but when he said that, but yeah, look, I think it's going to be a cracking game. I'm delighted to see that it's on TV anyways. And yeah, I think it's going to be a real back and forth game. I can see it going right down to the wire. Obviously, you have Henry Shefflin there, who's never lost a championship game with Ballyhale. Now, I know he's lost games in the league format they have in there, so I would question that at times. But in terms of like actual proper like championship, he's never lost a game with them. And I'd love nothing more than to break that, to be honest with you. I would absolutely just love for us to look. We got to a Leinster final last year. I would love to see us get back there again. It's not going to be simple because I think the Leinster Championship is very, very open this year, just because I think there's so many good teams in it. And look, obviously, a lot of people would fairly be back in Ballyhale Shamrocks. They have the history. They're the greatest club hurling team of all time. So many All-Irelands, so many Leinsters have such experience and the players that they possess. But I'm never, ever going to back against my club. And I might have worries at times with Offaly, but I never have a worry with Kilcormac Cúilín. And I am absolutely predicting us to win this weekend. I'm absolutely going to predict us to win this weekend. I think if Charlie Mitchell is on song, I think he could have the game potentially of his life. He's in great form at the moment. Of course, the media will be picking this up as TJ Reid versus Adam Screeney, even though that's just not fair, because one is 38 and probably the greatest hurler of all time. The other one's starting out his career and he's nowhere near the size of him. But yeah, I think it has the makings of a cracker. And of course, I'm absolutely going to back us to spoil the party.
Matthew, could I get a quick prediction off yourself?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Liam's prediction. I'm going to go Kilcormac Cúilín as well. Look, I've liked the look of this Kilcormac Cúilín team, especially since last year. I said this to you, Seamus, I thought it was their year to win Leinster last year over Navina. And I kind of have to keep that kind of prediction kind of going. And as Liam mentioned there, Charlie Mitchell, obviously Adam Screeney, that's obvious there. Colin Spain is a real good player in their own midfield as well. Like they have some absolutely superb talented players. Kilcormac Cúilín, they are a young team as well. Look, Ballyhale will be tough. Not just TJ, but Owen Cody's an absolutely excellent player in that team. And you have others that are performing absolutely brilliantly. Obviously, D. Mason is a very good goalkeeper. I think Kilcormac will edge it. I don't think it's going to be hammering. I think it's going to be very, very close as well. But I'm just going to edge it for Kilcormac. I said still win Leinster at the start of the year. I'm sticking to it.
I said that Kilcormac would win Leinster at the start of the year as well. And I am going to stick with that prediction. I think they're going to shade it, but I am not as confident, sorry Liam, as the two of you are. I've seen Ballyhale too many times, and I'm just like, the further they go, the further they get along, the more I think they're hard to stop. And I think if they get through this, I think they win Leinster. Even though Nafina have looked good, Martins are tricky, I don't see anybody stopping Ballyhale if they get through this one. I think I saw enough in the Dublin final to tell me that Nafina can be beaten. I think Ballyhale finished them off if it's in that situation. I think Kilcormac Cúilín finished them off if they have them like that. Lucan were brilliant, but I was just thinking, I don't think you can get away with that for much longer, because they did, as we know, get the rub of the green with the penalty. You don't always get the rub of the green. And if they didn't get the rub of the green that day, they wouldn't be Dublin champions anymore, simple as. So it's close. I'll still stick with Kilcormac, but A2 is coming in on smoke here, saying congrats Ballyhale on their comprehensive victory. So he's back on smoke again. He's coming after you this time, Liam. He's not even coming after me. Peter, he says, your centre-back is very good, Liam. Colin Spain is a superb hurler. And he also says Kilcormac Cúilín have the grain of rice to do it. So we have 4 going for Kilcormac Cúilín, 1 going for Ballyhale Shamrocks. And A2, I know you'll be back in the chat on Sunday to tell us if you got it right.
And look, if Ballyhale beat us, then I'll say congratulations to them. Like, I'm not bitter at all. We won the off-league title, and I can accept when a team beats us, do you know what I mean? And beats us fair and square. Like, I'd have accepted if Shinroan came back and bet us in the off-league final. I'd have said fair enough, you know, because like, you know, they came back in the second half, nearly pushed us to the edge. So I've no problem admitting Nafina were better than us last year. Do you know what I mean? They deserve to win the Leinster final. Yeah. But look, I'm just not backing against my club. That's just not happening. They mean more to me than anything in the world. So yeah, no, I'm never going to back against us in terms of the centre back. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who we put on TJ Reid, which is still mad to be saying at 38 years of age. But look, you have players there. You've Jordan Quinn. Could he be marking him from full back? Keelan Kiley, the centre back he was mentioning there, probably need a big physical presence on a TJ. And look, Keelan Kiley's the type of player that TJ Reid could be in his way, or the Rock Sullivan could be in his way. He'll just run through you. He might probably not get knocked down as well as the other fella, but he'll run through you. He's not afraid to run through a fella. So if we probably need someone to probably put out a bit of a statement, like, you know, a big hit at the start of a game, just to say you're welcome, or you're welcome to this game. It's not going to be simple. We probably need something like that. But yeah, I do kind of agree. I think if Ballyhale do get past us, it's going to be very hard to see them stopped, to be honest with you. But yeah, no, bring on Sunday.
It's going to be something else. It is really a case of, like, in my opinion, the old champions versus the team on the come up, because I think when you look at the lads that are leading the Kilcormac line, the Adam Screeneys, the Colin Spains, this is the next generation of Offaly hurlers. This is the future and the present of Offaly inter-county hurling. Ballyhale Shamrocks, for me, even if they win the All-Ireland, the likes of TJ, Joey, Holden, I can't see them still doing this, and maybe I'll eat my words, but I can't see them still doing this in 5 years. But I can see Adam Screeney, Colin Spain still tearing it up in 5 years. So it is very much a case of, have Ballyhale got one last go in the tank with this team and this crop of players towards another sensational All-Ireland? The best club hurling team I've ever seen. Do they have one go left in them, or do they have more goals left in them? Is this the start of another dynasty? In my opinion, that's why this game is so intriguing, because it's the team that have been so successful against the team on the come up. And that's, oldest storyline in sports, but it works every single time, regardless of what sport it is. And I can't wait for Sunday. Aidan Sands here saying, I see Ballyhale winning the All-Ireland, going for Ballyhale in this game. A2 saying, coming after all you lads, do you not get how the jinx works? That's pretty true. I hope Kilcormac win though. Ballyhale are boring. Dublin is great, says my Sunday is going to be Mount Leinster versus Mount Leinster. What?
Mount Leinster versus Naas in my club. I cannot say Spell versus the Martins of Wexford.
I'm guessing that's Nafina against Martins. Interestingly, I said it as well, lads. Dublin is great. There should be a double header between the Dublin and Wexford games. I said that there wouldn't be a double header, and lo and behold, there isn't, which is slightly frustrating. But either way, we are going to pick it up, because I am looking at the time and we've literally covered one game, lads. So better get the skates on here. So Matthew, I'm going to throw you the rest of the Leinster games. I'll take the Martins versus Nafina game. So Martins against Nafina. Look, no question about it. I think Nafina were on the ropes against Lucan, and they got that decision from the ref with the penalty call. That was crucial. But then, they held their nerve and they worked the winner for Sean Curry really well. And I just got a sense that Nafina were gone, like from being in Parnell Park at that final. I was there. You got a sense that they're going to crawl over the line by their fingernails here. Like, they're going to give it everything that they have and they'll find a way. Now, I think that they'll do enough to shade this one against Martins. It was a very close game in Parnell Park last year. Rory O'Connor caused Nafina a lot of problems that day, and Martins have won it again. But I just think the fact that Nafina got through tells me that they're going to give it another good rattle at trying to win Leinster and go beyond. So I'll shade it to them. Interestingly, Peter goes for Martins to beat Nafina. They schooled Naas last year, he says. And then he also thinks Mount Leinster Rangers will sneak past Naas. Those two other games, I'm going to shade that one actually to Mount Leinster Rangers. I'm going to go for them to sneak it. And I'm going to go for Clough Balacolla to beat Castletown Gagan in the final one of the quarterfinals. So that's the Leinster Senior Hurling Championship quarterfinals taken care of. Matthew, I'm going to come to you with a different competition. I'm going to go up north to Ulster football. We have two quarterfinals taking place on the Sunday. What a game we are in store for here with these two. Scottstown of Monaghan going up against Nave Connell of Donegal at 1:30, and then Madden of Armagh going up against Sean O'Leary Newbridge of Derry at 3:30. And that second one is live on TG Cahir. This is going to be something else.
Yeah, I'd say it's going to be two very interesting games there. Scottstown, obviously, they've been at this rodeo for a number of years now. They do have some superb players, as we all know, the likes of the Hugheses and the likes of Conor McCarthy. They do, and Jack McCarron, they do have some absolutely excellent players. But the question mark about Scottstown is, do they have the bottle to get over a big side? He looked at them against Kilcoo last year and they fell flat. That was probably... It was so disappointing from a Scottstown level last year, because there was so much expectation for them, and then Kilcoo just rolled all over them, and it wasn't really hard for Kilcoo in the very end of it. And I feel like for that reason, I think Dave Cullen have a superb chance here to upset the apple cart in many ways, because Scottstown have not proven their worth despite the players that they do possess. Very tight game to call. I know Nave Cullen have the likes of Finbar Rourke, who is a very, very good player, without a doubt as well. And they are passionate up there. Obviously, winning the Donegal final after extra time, like they went so well in that game, but they've had a few weeks to recover after that. It's a tight one to call, that one. I think it's going to be, I'm going to say Nave Connell, but slightly. I'm going to go for them, because after last year, I don't trust this Scottstown team. I simply don't. But we'll see what happens. It is going to be a very interesting game there. And the other quarterfinal you mentioned there, Madden against Sean O'Leary's Newbridge. Two interesting sides here, Madden. There's a lot of emotion riding on at the moment with Niall Grimley and his family and what he went through, and obviously how they all won the Ulster Championship for the first time in their history. It was just an amazing achievement in many ways, and celebrating with the Loch McCrory lads as well. I'm sure we'll get on to Loch McCrory and Kilcoo in just a tick as well. Sean O'Leary's Newbridge, they're in the Ulster Championship for the second year running, and they lost to an Armagh team in the quarterfinal last year in Clonairon. And I'm sure Sean O'Leary's Newbridge will want to make that right this year. They were inexperienced at this stage, probably in the Ulster Championship last year, but that loss kind of brought Newbridge on a small bit. Like, they were inexperienced, but they have the experience now. They have the fantastic players, the likes of the McGrogans, the likes of the Dohertys, particularly Conor Doherty around the middle of the park, Oisin Doherty, Conor forward. Like, they do have some absolutely brilliant players. Obviously, Sean Young as well. Like, they do have Young in the forward line. They do have absolutely brilliant players and young players as well that did do well with Derry in the minor championship over the last few seasons. I think because Newbridge are more experienced at this level after performing in the Ulster Championship last year, I think they have more experience. So I'm going to go for Newbridge to win that one just for that reason. But Madden could shock me again. We'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, I actually agree with you on both. I think that Sean O'Leary Newbridge are going to surprise Madden with how good they are. I think they've been moving under the radar for a while now. Back-to-back champions in Derry, very quietly under the radar at a time when Glen and Slotneil have unbelievable teams. So I'm going to shade it to Newbridge in that one. And then I actually do agree with you. The way that Scottstown flattered to deceive against Kilcoo last year, I think Naomh Connell are like a solid, you know what you're going to get with them. I think they're 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10 every week. But I think Scottstown are a little bit more fluctuating up in terms of what performance they can give. I think especially in tough winter conditions, the more solid, consistent team is usually the one that I favour. So I'm going to go with Naomh Connell to take that. Liam, the two other Ulster Senior Football Championship quarterfinals, they take place the day before on Saturday, November the 8th. First one is King's Court Stars of Cavan going up against Ern Gales Ballyhale of Fermanagh. But then the one that is live on RT2 is an unbelievable game. Loch McCrory of Tyrone, fresh off the back of their first Tyrone Championship, going up against Kilcoo of Down at 7:15 live on RT2. What a game this is going to be.
Yeah, and I suppose, first of all, I do agree with you as well. I think Naomh Connell will beat Scottstown. I have a weird feeling about it as well. I agree with what you said there. Scottstown last year, the way they fell apart against Kilcoo and the way they conceded those 5 goals was not a good sight to see. Maybe they've changed this year, I don't know, but I actually think Naomh Connell will win that, and I agree Newbridge as well. I'm going to go for them. So 2 away wins there. Kilcoo and Court, yeah, it's a strange one because, look, Kilcoo are a team that you feel maybe should have done better over the last couple of years, maybe. Maybe I'm reaching out too far with that. But you do look at the players that they've got. Your Conor Laverty's, who I think is one of the best footballers in Ulster. I think he's absolutely unbelievable. You've Paul Devlin, who's an unbelievable footballer. Ryan Johnston, it's a really good Niall Kane in goals, who's a very good goalkeeper as well. Like, you've some really Aaron Brannigan as well, who I think is really impressive as well. Like, you've a really a good amount of players. The Ryan McAvoy player I should have mentioned as well. Like, they have a lot of really good players in their panel, and realistically, they should probably be seen as the favourites to win the Ulster Championship, if we're being frank and honest about it. But the club championship is just so funny, isn't it? It just never gives you like you mentioned there with Scottstown. Like, for the players that they have and the reputation that they have, they should be doing better in the Ulster Championship. So, and this is going to be a very tough game for them, going up against a side who, of course, ruined me and Seamus's All-Ireland predictions anyway. Well, I think we ruined it ourselves by picking Ergo Kieran. But to take down Trillick in an Ulster final is really impressive going. With the thanks of the priest as well, who put the mass on. Was it the priest put the mass on the Saturday instead of the Sunday so they could pray for each other? Look, I think Kilcoo, for me, should have enough to see themselves over the line in this game, despite it being away from home. I just think their team is very strong, and I feel like they will have regrets over not winning the Ulster Championship last year. Like, the way they took down Scottstown, and look, they came up against a really good Ergo Kieran team last year, but I just think this year you got to make it count. Like, Ulster is so wide open this year, but I think if you're going to win it, it has to be this year with some of the teams that are gone. The Crossmaglen Rangers are gone, teams like this. Like, I think you've got to make the absolute most of it. So I am going to go with Kilcoo with that one. In terms of King's Court Stars and Ern Gales Ballyhale, look, I think this is probably the only team that will have a victory as a home side this weekend. I think King's Court are a very good side. some really good players in amongst their ranks as well. I'm gonna go with them to probably shade it very narrowly. I don't see them being good enough to maybe take down the rest of the teams, to be honest. If it goes the way that we're suggesting, I don't see them beating any one of Kilcoo or Naomh Conaill or Newbridge, to be honest with you, but I think they'll shade it this weekend.
I think it's really, really interesting to look at Kilcoo's game against Errigal last year, because I think one of the ingredients that people are sleeping on when it comes to Errigal and why they might be able to shade a game like that against Kilcoo is they are underrated in terms of the experience that is in Errigal Kieran's team. Like the likes of Peter Hart, the likes of Cormac Quinn, the likes of Ben McDonnell, who have a lot of inter-county experience and have been around for a long time. So it wasn't just the dynamite up front that Errigal had. They also had that hard-working ingredient. Tommy Canavan as well has loads of experience at that level. So things like that helped them to get over the line. So that was big. A2 saying 5 to 7 point win for Kilcoo. Experience will tell, and the Tyrone lads will still be in the Monday club. Look, there's no question about it. Kilcoo are favourites, but Trillick were favourites going into the Tyrone final, and we know how that ended. So don't write off this Loch McCrory team. Don't write off anyone in the club championship. The next game on the list is the Connacht Senior Football Championship quarter-final between Ballina Stephenites of Mayo against North London Shamrocks of London. I think we are all going for a sweep for Ballina there, lads. Bringing us on then to the Tipperary Senior Football Championship final. Matthew, I'll go to you for this as a Munster man. Clonmel Commercials going up against Kilsheeling Kilcash. This one is on the Saturday at 3 p.m. What are you expecting from this one?
Everybody would expected Clonmel Commercials to win because of obviously the players that they do possess, the Mikey Quinlan's. I don't know, is Jason Lonergan involved this year? Is he still abroad?
Is he retired, Quinlan? Is he just never playing for Tip again?
I don't think he's ever playing. No, I don't think he is. Okay. I just think we just lost interest in intercounty football. But like seeing him play for Clonmel Commercials, you just wonder what could have been from a Tipperary point of view, because he's an excellent footballer. Like it's just a shame in so many ways, but he has his Munster title, he has his All-Star from 2016, so I think he has another minor medal from 2011, so I think he's pretty delighted with his intercounty career in many ways. But
Declan Brown would fucking snap his hand off for what Mickey Quinlan has.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think Clonmel Commercials they have the players, they have the talent, and as well as that, the emotion over the last few weeks in losing a club stalwart like Philly Ryan has kind of, made them, play for him in many ways. And I think emotion's a huge, huge pile driver. And I think it will be enough to get over Kilsheeling Kilcash, who I might add, like Kilsheeling Kilcash performed really, really well in the semi-final against Otmore Castellini. It was a shock that they won that game. They deserved it, absolutely deserved it. And they are a pro football area around that, them parts of Tipperary. So they won't make it easy for Clonmel. It's going to be a difficult game. I just feel like Clonmel will win this game because it's on in FBD Semple Stadium. It is a difficult sort of a game for Kilsheeling Kilcash, because the thing is, if it's on in like a boggy ground, like it was against Otmore Castellini, Kilsheeling Kilcash kind of play on that. The underdog plays on that. If it's in a wide pitch like Thurles, Clonmel have the footballers to kick the game out of reach. And I just feel like Clonmel could win this game because of that. And worth noting as well, the winners of this play St. Finbarrs from Cork in the Munster quarterfinal next week. So should be interesting to see who wins this game from the Bars point of view as well. I'm feeling it will be Clonmel that win this game.
Peter, there's a question here for you. Matthew, is the football heartland a Tip in the south of the county?
Yes.
Okay, very good. We are going to keep moving because you have a lot to get through. We're 15 minutes away from being delusional, so let's kick it up. Liam, I'm going to come to you next with this. The Limerick Senior Football Championship final takes place this Sunday between Mungret St. Paul's and Newcastle West. Aaron's pick from Munster is on the line this weekend. If Newcastle West lose, then another provincial prediction has fallen by the wayside. I'm going for Newcastle West though to win this. Are you agreeing or disagreeing?
No, I think I'll agree. I think more for the sake that we can't have more predictions going down the drain, to be honest with you. to be honest with you, we need as many as we can get. But yeah, look, Limerick. Newcastle West are a very proud club, both coasts, to be honest with you. They're a very, very solid club. They've been a really good football team over the last number of years. It's amazing. You look at Mike McMahon, I'm just reading it here. He's turning 40 this month and he's still delivering big moments for his club. That's what I love about the club championship. Just these lads who are in their 40s or they're heading towards that age and they're still putting in these types of performances and still dragging their team to county championships, which is absolutely unbelievable. I believe it's their 6th title they're going for this weekend, I think. I think Mungret St. Paul's, is it that they've never won the title or is it their first final this weekend? It's one or the other. I don't think they've ever won it anyways, but it's going to be a great occasion for them. But look, I think Newcastle West are a lot more experience in this. Go ahead. He really doesn't like our predictions, does he?
A2 next year. A2, I'm going to push you every week for predictions now. I want to hear every game that we talked about. I want to hear a prediction, and then we'll compare. I wish that there was like a fantasy league or something. I really do. But then again, could you imagine if we did a fantasy league and we were like hovering near the bottom? Just like we'd have to perform. Like we'd have to perform. We'd have to do it. You have to do the business. Like, I'm gonna go with Newcastle West. I know. Haven't seen the Limerick Voices preview of the final earlier that they met earlier this year and it was a 1-point game. So it will be a very, very close, tight affair, but I'm going to edge it to Newcastle West. I think they're going to get the job done and win a 6th title this weekend. Can I throw the next one to yourself, Matt? Go ahead.
I have a proposition to make. I think Mungret will win the game.
Okay.
Now.
A few reasons. Number one, and I think momentum is a huge pile driver. Mungret won the Limerick Intermediate Football Championship a couple of years ago. They tested Kilcormac all the way, and obviously that was a Kilcormac team. They got to the All-Ireland final. From Cork, they played St. Pat's Cúilín from Armagh that won the championship, and St. Pat's Cúilín obviously got to the Armagh final a couple of weeks ago. Mungret were winning amongst that intermediate grade a couple of years ago. And I feel like that's a club on the rise. You look at the LGFA team, they won the junior All-Ireland LGFA title last year. The men's side are doing so well as well. And they do have a plethora of decent enough players. Like Shane Barry, for example, at full forward, is a player that's really talked about in Limerick. He's a very, very good player. And you also have, my Cork boys, at fullback, you have a guy from West Cork, from Carby Rangers in County Cork, Robert Hagerty. So best it up to him in this Limerick final. Look, I feel like this is Mungret's time to go on and win it. They beat Adair in the semi-final, who won the Limerick Championship last year. Many people might not know that. It wasn't Newcastle West. It was Adair that won it. And Mungret beat them fair and square in the semi-final. They beat them by a point, 17 points to 113. And I said it to you, Liam, as well in one of the pods. I remember a few weeks back, and we were talking about Aaron's prediction, Newcastle West. And I was saying, I don't think they'll even get out of Limerick. And I said this to you. I don't know if you remember. I said Mungret would win the Limerick Championship. And I'm not changing my mind. I do think this Mungret team is on a journey themselves. They have momentum, and I feel like they're going to get to the top of the mountain in Limerick this weekend.
A2 agrees. She says Newcastle West have been dodgy as well. So far, the table is set for an upset. And then he sums it up here. You've summed it up here. Club championships are complete Russian roulette. Amen. I mean, literally, it is like... It's like trying to predict what number on a dartboard someone else is going to hit when they throw it. Like, it's just, it's impossible to predict how it's going to go, especially from the offset when we predicted from the get-go. Like, the county championship hadn't even began in most counties, and we were predicting who we thought was going to win the All-Ireland. So, if one of us gets it right, it's an incredible prediction. But we are going to move then. Matthew, we have a clash taking place in the Munster Senior Football Championship quarter-final, and then Liam, I'm going to throw you the Connacht one. Matthew, we'll go to you first. Éire Ó Guinness of Clare going up against Rathgormack of Waterford at 1:30.
Yeah, it's a decent tie. This Rathgormack have good history in the Munster Championship. Obviously, last year they only lost by a point to Dr. Crokes, and to be honest, look at the end of that game. Dr. Crokes performed very well in the All-Ireland semi-final against Errigal Huron. But looking at the games up until that game against Errigal, the team that tested Dr. Crokes the most in the Munster Championship, it wasn't Castlehaven, it wasn't Lockmore Castleiney, it was Rathgormack that tested them all the way in that game. And I feel like this is a good Rathgormack team. Aero Guinness have potential for so many seasons now. Obviously, they do have hurling and football, simultaneously. It is very difficult to contain both, and they do have some excellent players, the likes of Aaron Fitzgerald, Ike Muguero, who's a very good player, Gavin Cooney as well. They do have a plethora of Manus Doherty in the defence as well. A lot of them are in the Clare inter-county panel, and a lot of them, a lot of that Aero Ennis team would have played against the likes of St. Finbarr's down through the years and tested them all the way in those sorts of games, but they just haven't got over big game as of yet. I feel like this could be the weekend to do that, though. Rathcormac will provide a big test, but I think the fact that Aero Guinness have home advantage, literally, it is in Ennis, it's in Zimmerboim at Park Kissogue.
There it is.
Oh, mate. Ding, 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 ding.
So I feel like...
now the pod's fucked. Now we won't be able to stop laughing for the rest of the show. And we're just coming up over an hour.
But yeah, I just feel like, look, they're in Ennis. They will have home advantage. I think they'll get over the line against Rathcormac, and they have potential. And I think this will be the weekend where they see that potential come to fruition.
Good stuff. Yeah, no, I'd say it as an underdog, because I think on paper you're looking at Aero and saying that they can do it. But watching Rathcormac last year against Dr. Crokes, by God, they pushed them hard. And I think, but it's one of those things again where, like, is that just because they were playing against Dr. Crokes, who were overwhelming favourites to beat them, and then Rathcormac can sit in and be very defensive and they've got nothing to lose? Like, you look at how, like, Ireland, for example, in the football, played really well against Portugal, just sat in, and then when it was Armenia at home and we were kind of now under pressure to come out and attack them, we kind of couldn't really do it. So I feel like, look, the reality is Aero obviously aren't as good a team, in my opinion, as Dr. Crokes, but that means that the game is different. That means that Rathcormac maybe sitting back and just parking the bus isn't as much of an option, but only time will tell. Liam, the Connacht Senior Football Championship quarter-final then takes place on the Sunday. I mentioned about the Saturday one. We're not going to see a shock in that one. If we do, then by God, that is the shock of the club championship if North London Shamrocks turn over Ballina. But this one, Shamrock Gales of Sligo going up against Moycullen of Galway. Could we see a shock here? Coolera Strandhill won the Connacht Championship last year, at least we not forget. Can Shamrock Gales turn over Moycullen?
I think, first of all, maybe if North London gets lended Gabrielle and William Saliba and Declan Rice and Bukayo Saka for the weekend, maybe, well...
Declan Rice on the GA pitch, do me a favour.
Yeah, that'd be a sight for sore eyes, wouldn't it? But no, yeah.
Get Jack Grealish on.
Oh, Jesus Christ, no. Flashbacks.
Did he play GA?
He did, didn't he? Yeah, he actually... I remember when I said that. He actually did.
I think Jack Grealish played at half-time of the Kerry Cork All-Ireland final in 2009.
That's crazy.
I believe, anyways. Yeah, which is just fucking mental. But yeah, in terms of this game, look, I think Shamrock Gales did extremely well to win the Sligo title, especially when you look at the first day and how much they were behind going into added on time, and they somehow got a draw against a team that were All-Ireland semi-finalists last year. Do you know what I mean? Like, that was unbelievable. And then to see them they destroyed them in the replay. Like, I don't think Coolera Strandhill, I don't think they actually I don't think they scored much from play in that final, or at least I think they had about 4 points by like the 45th minute or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, that they absolutely just were well on top of them that day. But I do think Moycullen are extremely strong. And I think even looking at the Galway final, like they were going really, really well in the final against Salt Hill Knocknacarra. They were winning by, I think it was 5 points at half time. But even when Salt Hill came back at them and went a point ahead, Moycullen still had the stamina and the strength in the end to push on and get a late win. You had Sean Kelly, who was unbelievable on the day. You had Desi Keneally, who got 6 points. Fiona McDonough, who got 2 points at corner forward. You know, like, there was a lot of really good performers on the day, and they really put their heart and soul into winning that championship. And I think they will have big ambitions to win the Connacht Championship. I think I said it last week or the week before. It'll come down, in my opinion, to Moycullen and whoever came out of Connacht, which is obviously now St. Bridget's. I think it's going to come down to the two of them, and I'm not going to change my mind on this. I think Shamrock Gales will give them a good battle. I absolutely think that. I think Sligo teams that come out of the championship now, especially after what you saw last year with Clare winning the Connacht Championship, especially against a very good Pádraig Pearse's team as well. But I just think Moycullen have too much quality. And I think if you're able to beat that Salthill Knocknacarra team, who have a Galway senior football forward line, never mind a club football line, I think they'll have enough to get over the line this weekend.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Moycullen as well, which brings us on nicely. Then we're going to leave the provincial finals until the last. But Matthew, I'm going to go to you. Back to Munster now for the Munster Senior Camogie semi-finals. You have De La Salle of Waterford going up against Turles Sarsfields of Tipperary on Saturday at 1 p.m. in De La Salle. And then St. Finbarrs of Cork going up against Newcastle West of Limerick. And that one is taking place in St. Finbarrs.
Yeah, two very interesting semi-finals. And while we're on the Camogie as well, everybody tune in to the Camogie on Flying the Wall documentary on RTE tonight. It seems like a very, very good couple of episodes with the Camogie there. And it is absolutely great that we're having that. We've had Sunderland Till We Die on Netflix, and we've had so
what
many.
Time is that on?
It's on at 10:15 tonight.
10:15.
Also, don't compare Sunderland Till I Die to this. Sunderland Till I Die was a circus show. I don't think this will be.
Sunderland Till I Die was absolute dog water. It was one of the worst shows I've ever watched.
I thought it was fantastic.
No, it was funny because like you could tell, because with all them shows, with all the club shows, especially where they're like pro businesses, they are scripted beyond belief. Especially the Spurs one was painfully scripted. But the Sunderland one was like so bad that they were so bad that season that they couldn't even script it to make it look decent. Like, they kind of just went with it. They were like, "Ah, fuck it, we're terrible."
Darren Bent cuffing his ears to the Sunderland fans for Burton. Look, it's
mate.
I get something. I don't know why I'm saying it.
No, and do you know what's gas as well? Now they're like flying high in the top four of the Prem, and they don't have a Sunderland Till I Die season. I bet you're coming out for this year.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, hopefully I do like Sunderland as a club, don't worry, lads. But yeah, look, the Camogie semi-finals now, look, it is very, very interesting, these semi-finals in the Munster Championship. Like, you have St. Finbarrs against Newcastle West, and myself and yourself, Seamus, both said St. Finbarrs would win Munster, so that's one of our predictions, flying high at the moment. And I do think St. Finbarrs will get over the line. They do have very, very good players. And to be honest with you, how they haven't got to a Munster final up until now with this group of players, I actually don't know. You have Saoirse McCartan there, you have the Callans and Maeve, Orla, Grania there as well, Kate, like you have the whole Callan clan there. You also have Stephanie Punch, who's the captain, who's a very, very good player as well in that St. Finbarrs team. And you also have the legend Jim O'Connor in the backroom team for St. Finbarrs. So you have winners amongst the dressing room there. So I feel like they'll get over the line. Look, Newcastle West have decent players themselves. The likes of Rebecca Dee, who's a good player in the Limerick Camogie team. But I feel like St. Finbarrs will have too much, especially at home. De La Salle against Turles Sarsfields is a very, very interesting tie, particularly because of the best players that both sides possess. De La Salle have Beck Carton in their team. Turles Sarsfields have Karen Kennedy. This is a very, very interesting game. I feel like the home advantage is so key, and De La Salle have it. I think that might be good enough to push them over the line. Now, I feel like they've been in Munster for a few seasons now, whereas Turles Sarsfields had to watch the likes of Drummond Inch and Clouty Rossmore compete in the Munster Championships. This is their first Munster Championship, I think, in a while, Turles Sarsfields. So I feel like De La Salle might have the experience there. And with Beth Carton in the team, if you get her to shoot on goal, she's going to convert nearly every opportunity, 80-90% plus. So I do feel like that'll be the threat in the game. I do think they go over the line. And then worth noting as well, the two semi-finals are also live in Clubber this Saturday as well. So if I have time, I might actually watch the St. Finbarrs game, but we'll have to see how that time goes. But I think St. Finbarrs and De La Salle will get to the Munster final.
I agree with you on the bars, but I'm going to go for Turles on the other semi-final. I think just they've been really, really good, especially defensively. And then in Karen Kennedy, they've got one of the best players in the country. So I'll shade it to them. But then I would probably... the bars against Turles. And I went for the bars from the get-go, so I'm going to stick with them. But Turles have looked really, really good. So I think that one is going to be really, really interesting to see. Yeah. There's no question about it. I mean, now the final two games that we have. Liam, I'm going to throw this one to you first, going over to the West. the Connacht LGFA final is Kilkerran Clonberne going up against St. Bridget's. So the all-conquering 4 in a row All-Ireland champions. This is an almighty task for anybody that plays them. St. Bridget's are the team that play them this weekend. Can they do the unthinkable? Or is this another step for Kilkerran towards potentially doing a remarkable 5?
No. I'm being honest. No, I don't think this Clonberne team are just unbelievable. I'm sorry.
I don't think anyone's stopping them.
I think if there is a team to stop them, probably maybe still Kilmacud Crokes, maybe. And there's a spoiler alert. I don't see Tina Healy beating them this weekend. I think if they're beating Dunshaughlin the way they did by 10 points, like making it fairly easy for themselves, then despite Tina Healy had a good win over Milltown in the semi-final, and they did really well to they were really, really strong at that game. But I don't see Kilmacud Crokes losing that one, so spoiler alert there. But yeah, in terms of Clonberne, yeah, look, they're going for 5. It's a 5 in a row, isn't it? Like they're just an absolutely savage side, and the players that they have and the way they conduct themselves, they're a credit to themselves and a credit to Galway and everything. Just they're just unbelievable. So I don't see them really being bet by Bridges this weekend. I think Bridges will put it up to them. I absolutely do. And look, like we said, it is the club championship, and it is this time of the year. You never know. But for me, I just don't. When you have players like Louise Ward, Christ, when you have players like Louise Ward in your team, I don't think you can be stopped.
Nicola Ward for me is the best player they've got.
Nicola Ward,
Olivia Divley,
yeah.
To be fair, you could name literally the whole team.
Yeah,
and they're all standards.
Olivia,
just even like Nicola, especially 2024, the year that she got Player of the Year. I remember being like, yeah, honestly, like I know there's recency bias and everything, but like just watching her play in the semi-final, I was like, if I was making an all-time team, I think I'd still take her. Like in terms of like, when you're talking about players at their peak, she's just so fast, so strong. I was like, in my team now, I'm not saying I'd have her as my centre half back of all time. I think a position like that, you have to look for the longevity of career. I think you have to look more like Bridge, Stack, Rena Buckley, potentially those type of players. But I was like Nicola at cornerback bombing forward the way that we saw players like Keith Higgins do, and that would be where my mind would go. But I think you've put the 2 finals together, Liam, and I think it does make sense because Kilmacud and Kilkerran, they're going into provincial finals as overwhelming favourites. Like just, I don't see a shock happening in either of them. I think that both of them actually are going to be quite comfortable wins. And then the question is, they go into a Final 4 against, I think, whoever wins between Ergnitz and Ergul Kieran. And then Comer Rangers are also in there already. Matthew, you know better than me. Who play Kilmacud and Kilkerran on the opposite side of the draw? Because I think
I don't have a clue. I looked at the LGFA website last night, and there's nothing on it. There's no provincial draw or anything like that. So,
that probably needs to be updated. To be honest, but. Yeah. Either way, Peter here saying, mighty show, lads. Thanks a mil. Have a good weekend and enjoy the games. Good luck to Kilcormac. Kalahi, good to have you on with us, Peter, again. We will see you on Sunday at 8 p.m. And then Peter had one question before that. Said, lads, would you like a doc crew to film your team? Dublin was great, just saying no. But my thing is, I would have loved, did you watch the World Cup 2022 documentary on Netflix? I would love a documentary style like that made of the GA championship. Could you imagine like the 2019 hurling championship for me? Could you imagine that one where like if you had a camera in every dressing room following the players, interviewing all the captains, the way that they did in that doc, just that Final 4, I remember it was like Wexford tip on one side and then Limerick Kilkenny on the other. It was mental. Like it's just an incredible year. And that was the year where Horgan scored like 210 or something in one game or something, wasn't it?
310, yeah.
There was so much going on that year that was just crazy. And yeah, I remember even we played Wexford in Parnell Park and drew with them. And I remember that was like a real evidence of how far I thought we could go. And that was just a mental year. I would have loved to have seen a doc made like that.
I would prefer not to have 2019 because Kerry relegated us to the Christie Ring.
Yeah. Better times.
That was a shit year.
I'd love a doc style like the Netflix ones with Formula One, Drive to Survive, or Six Nations.
Yeah. They were very good. I'd love a Last Dance style doc. I'd love like
ones are good. The NFL ones are good, to be fair, actually.
Yeah, I'd love like the Michael Jordan style doc with like the Kilkenny 4 in a row, or like the Dublin 5 in a row, 6 in a row team.
Amazon does really good football documentaries, actually, to be fair to them as well.
Yeah, but hopefully now the Camogie one is good tonight, and hopefully that'll set the precedent for Gaelic games. But as we've seen down through the years, like Jim McGuinness, that Donegal documentary on RT back in 2012 was good, but I don't think Jim McGuinness is allowing like media or cameras inside his training.
No way. He kicked Kevin Cassidy off the team for giving a piece to a book. Like he's not letting cameras into the dressing room. No way in hell. And the thing is like, because the game is amateur, you can't enforce that. You can't be like, oh well, cameras are here, tough. Like, I mean, I bet that would have been part of the World Cup, that like, here, this doc is being made. It's going to be there. Yeah, tough shit. Like, obviously, it's not going to show the tactics boards and stuff like that, but it's going to show the dressing room after the game and stuff like that. Dublin is great saying Hell for Leather was quite good. Hell for Leather was fantastic.
Real.
I thought that was brilliant. I watched the first episode and I was like, I'm watching all of them and I'm binging this. Like, it was unbelievable. They had everybody that was relevant to the GAA's journey. And that's what RT is capable of. Like, when they really go all in on the GAA content, that Hell for Leather documentary was beautiful. And I'd love to see more. I'd love to see more content. And it takes time, I get that, but I'd love to see an in-championship style documentary where, imagine now if in December they were going to drop like the GA Championships of 2025 behind the scenes, like a World Cup 22 style doc where you're in the dressing room with Kerry, you know, at halftime in the All-Ireland final and stuff like that. Like, just with those crisp shots that Mark Ford takes on that cam, like it would be unbelievable. Hopefully we get it soon. But yeah, that would be my addition. But anyway, we have passed over the hour 20 minutes, so I'm going to wrap this up right here. We've covered all the club games at senior level that will be taking place across the weekend. And for the results, keep an eye out on Cúilín socials. And then join us this weekend on Sunday at 8 p.m. for a weekend review show. But until then, make sure you enjoy the games this weekend. Thanks to Matthew and Liam for jumping on with me for another episode. Really enjoyed that one, lads. And until Sunday, Torah. Instinct, baby.